Hello and welcome to the Enterprise World magazine's interview series, where we feature some of the most dynamic leaders shaping the future. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. Sandeep Agarwal, who's the CTO of Visionet Systems. Welcome, Sandeep, sir.
Hi, welcome.
So it's our pleasure to have you with us today. As the CTO of VisionNet Systems, your journey from software development to strategic leadership in technology has been truly inspirational. Your ability to bridge the gap between innovation and real business needs stand out in today's fast evolving tech landscape. We're eager to hear more about your knowledge, insights, and the vision for the future. Welcome, sir.
Sure. So let me start with a brief introduction actually. So it's been a great journey, I would say actually, and coming in this decades where the technology revolutions have really shaped the world in a brighter way actually. And I think the last 30 years, what we have seen from almost no internet to no computers to a world of computers and a digital edge. I think we have been a lucky generation that way to get the most of this particular happening that we have seen in our times. So this 30 years has been remarkable even for me as a young entrepreneur or young engineer getting into this world and then basically trying to see actually what this world has to offer and what we can offer to this world. It started with basically doing the core things as an engineer, and then slowly growing up into understanding the technology changes, its impact that it creates into the business, the innovations, and all the technology impact that the world has to see, right? So the main thing that drove me into this technology was the aspect that we are bringing the knowledge at the hands of the consumer or the customers, right? So the choice then becomes more for the consumer to make with respect to the items that they want to choose or buy or purchase, right? So right from manufacturing to retail to banking to financial to industrial, we have seen a range of technology disruptions which has brought closer to what is happening into the world in a digital edge to right to the end consumer. And that's what it was fascinating for me to see this particular change that was happening, and it drove me as a motivation to basically take part in this particular journey and see how I can really make that particular changes. For me, it was also lucky to have been part of great organizations. I was part of Lucent Technologies and Mindtree for 13 years, Happiest Minds for almost 9 years, and now Visionet Systems for 4 years. It's been a great journey to shape up an entrepreneurial journey right from the startup times of these particular companies, and then basically taking them to the journey of 100 million, 500 million, and towards $1 billion journey. So that really also helped me in terms of while the companies were scaling, it was also scaling my professional life and dealing with international customers and then bringing them the digital edge of technologies to help in that particular business. So I would say, luckily, it has been a fantastic journey so far, and really proud to be part of this particular journey.
Oh, sir, that's amazing. So as the CTO at VisionNet Systems, you oversee the intersection of technology and business. So how do you prioritize which technologies to invest in at VisionNet Systems, and particularly given the pace of innovation in the field like AI, cloud computing, and cybersecurity?
Yes, so I think that's a constant challenge, right? So which technology to adopt to the business? So we take a business backward approach rather than a technology forward approach. So in a business backward approach, you basically first look at what the complex business, what we are trying to do. Are we trying to actually change the experience of the business? Are we trying to optimize the business? Or are we trying to actually add more color or more features to the business actually, which the end customers could see, right? So when you look at the KPIs of the business and then you basically see that how does you actually impact this particular KPI from a business backward point of view, then you basically take technology as just a means to achieve that particular objective. then it's not a technology forward. It's not that a new technology then comes in and you quickly adopt it, whether the business wants it or not. So when it comes to cloud or AI or computing, high-end computing and new technologies, it's always that will that technology really help the business? And that's the direction we always take it. And with that, we are able to then give the optimized solutions to the businesses to really take it forward. Otherwise, actually, if the technology is immature, it does not help the business, or if the technology is too forward and the business doesn't want that kind of technology to be involved, then you are actually disrupting your own business. So in either case, we take a balanced approach in terms of understanding the business challenge and then coming out with what technologies the business should adopt at that effort, cost, time, impact, and then basically take that journey forward.
That's excellent. And so, as you previously mentioned, that you have 30 years of experience, and also that you've served various roles in various companies. So, you've moved from technical roles to strategic leadership over the years. So, how has your leadership style evolved? And also, what are some key lessons you've learned in guiding both technical and non-technical teams?
Oh, that's a fantastic. So as you grow, you don't realize when you have moved the line and when you have moved from a technical role to a leadership role, right? It just happens when you are actually doing everything. You're meeting the customers every time, you're discussing it, and suddenly you realize that now you're not just talking technical, but you have started talking the business elements actually, and you're also looking for opportunities to scale your own business. At the same time what you're trying to develop it for the customer for their businesses, right? So for me the journey had been like I think the initial 13 years I would say was core engineering, and post that actually I started taking more of a leadership role. So I started with high tech vertical, started with networking and telecom as my core focus, and then started building that particular knowledge in terms of how this business is run. How does a telecom business today run? How does the operations run? How does the billing runs? And then basically embedding that particular knowledge to see actually now how do you use technologies to put that. So from a leadership style perspective, it's been a I would say a servant leadership to a good extent, in terms of actually, because that's the way I look at leadership from my style perspective is how I want to get treated from my leaders. I want to ensure that my reportees or my next level also get that kind of same impact, that they get their freedom to work upon, they get their freedom to take decisions. But of course, the empowerment and the authority that comes with that, right? So they take the responsibility, but they need to get their authority as well to make those particular decisions. So that's a simple style. We don't generally have large matrices in the organization. We have a flat hierarchy and everybody can talk to each other and stuff like that. Of course, from a customer's angle, you have to provide an hierarchy for the customers to talk to. But beyond that, internally, it works very seamlessly. And everybody then knows their particular roles, their particular outcomes, and they just drive it to make it happen actually. So that eases everybody's task. So it's an ownership, I would say a self-ownership driven hierarchy that really makes the change, right? And the motivation is mostly self-motivation for the entire team because you are working towards a common goal. And when it's a customer in the center, then you're working towards the goal that you want the customer to achieve as part of their vision. And then you align your ways to make sure that you are supporting that goal.
That's fantastic, sir. And so, you have a long-standing journey, and with success comes failure. And every leadership journey has its own challenges. So, if you could share with us a time when you faced a significant hurdle in your role, and also how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think I would not say it was one time that I could recall that it's been there. I think failure is part of life, and so do successes, and this is the sine wave curve that keeps on happening in every career, right? And for me, the major challenges which I realized early was the advancements in technology. Sooner I realized that the journey that I am going to get into, it's not going to be a constant journey. It's going to be an ever-changing journey because technology is never a stopping journey. It's going to evolve, it's going to change, it's going to disrupt. So today, what is prevalent may not be prevalent tomorrow, and tomorrow, what is prevalent may not be uh, prevalent in the future years, right? So having learned that particular simple fact when you are in an IT industry, and you know that these disruptions are going to make it, you are actually on your toes and fits every month or every day perspective, right? And you hear about a new technology coming in, but the good thing that this technology hurdles makes you is basically it makes you a very quick learner. And it basically helps you to adopt this new technologies quickly, learn from it, see what the value that that particular new technology is bringing to the table, how it can impact business. You do your POCs, you do your proof of concepts, you do your technology edges, and then basically start adopting to the real business scenario, right? So the major hurdles I would say is this changing things every 2 years on a technology level, but then how do you adopt yourself and not makes yourself actually an outdated within that particular scheme? Because when you talk to the customer, just to give an example, you go and talk to a customer who's doing retail, let's say for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, you can't go and explain that customer how to run a retail business. The customer knows it well. The customer is expert in that particular area, right? But when you know the nuisances of that particular retail processes, and you know order management or a supply management or a warehouse management or an inventory management, you get to the basics of that particular stuff, and then you connect the technology of how we could help in those processes from a technology edge. That's when the customer links with you, and that's where the business and technology starts talking, right? If you go and say I'm a retail expert, I don't think any customer is going to sign with a technology company with that kind of a notion. So that has kind of helped me in terms of evolving, and those hurdles have really helped me to create more opportunities than challenges as we still take this journey.
That's fabulous, sir. Earlier you touched upon the team. So my next question aligns to that. As someone who has worked in various technical and leadership roles, how do you mentor the next generation of leaders at Visionet Systems?
Yeah, mentoring has my passion. I love mentoring, and I don't believe in a static line of teaching and things like that, right? So because every human being has come with certain strengths, and it's different, right? The views are different, the way to do things are different, the perceptions are different, the way you adopt things or way to change things also is different, right? What you want to actually control is not uh, make the person do the things as you want to get it done, right? You basically allow that person to have that freedom of choice to do it as the person wants to do. So my leadership style again in that respect is basically just focus on the end goals, agree on the end goals, agree on the KPI, agree on the metrics, but don't get too much monitoring on how the person is doing it and the approach the person is taking. Let that get evolved, right? So mentoring also happens onto looking at the end result and saying that where the person is having a gaps, what are the hurdles, what are the interventions that are needed in terms of that particular stuff. Can I help with more training for this particular person in a particular technology? Does the person needs anything more in a professional soft skill training, whether it's negotiations or whether it's dealing with customer or understanding a business opportunity? So basically, when you get into that particular stuff, you are not really uh, really, I would say, policing a person. It's basically you act as a support for that particular person, right? And that mentoring style allows that person to evolve. And I have seen that in my years also, many times those leaders have even scaled beyond my levels as well, right? And that helps it actually because they are not constrained or they are not actually bottled into a way of doing. They evolve themselves, and then they go forward to with their approach what they have learned. And that's the simple mentoring techniques that I generally use with my teams.
That's awesome. You're a distinguished personality in tech. So, how important is continuous learning in technology for you? And also, what piece of advice do you like to give to young professionals who want to excel in this field?
Oh yes, it's a vast field. It's a vast ocean. I always say technology is nothing small. Nobody will grasp it. Neither I have grasped it, the whole of technology, and I don't believe anybody else can grasp it, right? So there is so much to learn. And like I said before, actually, every 2 years we see a revolution in technology that we have seen, and this we are seeing it consistently for the last few decades. That there has been a revolution, there has been evolution, that there's been a disruption of technology. One technology comes and disrupt the other technology, right? So I think the industry that we are in, especially in the technology, learning is a constant thing that has to be part of our everyday life, right? Everything else can change, but I think the only thing that doesn't change is a constant learning that needs to go through it. So we always focus on it. The way we do it is we have a lot of tech talks that we actually conduct within the company. We have experts talk about as soon as they get to know about a new thing, or they have implemented a new case study with a customer, or done a project, or made a customer go live. We immediately actually have the learning from that particular stuff shared with a larger audience, so that the people start getting a nick of what is getting outdated, what is the new thing coming in, how do I adopt the new things and put that. So that's one way. Second are learning platforms, whether it's Udemy or Coursera or anything. Actually, we ensure that these are made available, and people who wants to continuously learn are not deprived of the platforms that they get stuck to, and those platforms are easily available. So whenever we start a team with respect to one customer, we do something called a knowledge training, actually, or knowledge gap analysis for that particular team, to find out actually if this team has to work for this customer on this technology, and this is what is needed as a final result, then each member of the team, what their strengths is, what their gaps is, and how do we can ensure that the gaps are fulfilled, so that entire team becomes productive and not just a one member or two-member team from that particular perspective, right? So those are several factors that we use it for constant learning. And the message to the young professionals is, yes, you have to make a choice. Everybody has a choice. So coming to IT or not coming to IT is definitely a choice. But if you are making a choice to come to the IT, you cannot stop on one thing, which is a constant learning, right? You'll have to make it as your regular habit. You have to adopt to technology. Today, you might be an expert on a particular technology, but believe it or not, we have seen that those expertise doesn't get any importance in the next 2 years. After 2 years, something else steps in. And if you are not a quick learner and you're not a quick adopter, whatever ways you have actually seen your successes, that doesn't continue, and you find hurdles coming in your way, and you get stopped on that. That's why this is a good pyramid example also in the IT industry. So when you are actually rising up your career and stuff like that, just like a pyramid, it has very few positions, right? A CEO is only one in a company, so you have only one position at the top. So when you are looking at that, many people actually start giving up at a level. Some people give up at the manager level, some people give up at the director level, because beyond that, their learning ability to go to the next level stops. And they say, okay, this is fine, and I've kind of accepted that this is my level that I want to achieve, right? But there are then few people that steps beyond that and goes to the peak in the pyramid.
Those are wise words, sir, right there. So we'll touch a little bit upon the future now. So where do you see VisionNet systems in the next 5 years? And also, what role do you envision technology playing in the company's growth?
Yeah, so I think technology is evolving as we see today. AI, definitely. AI was there for 20 years. We know neural networks and AI was there much higher, much before. But I think the way the Gen AI came in the last few years has really changed the way people have started imagining AI, right? The true sense of what AI possibilities arise has really started coming a shape. And if you look at the history of computers and stuff like that, right, computers were designed to be actually done through a programming language, so that human and machine can interface through certain language. And that was the only way that you could talk to the machines, right? And imagine now with Gen AI, you are going to talk to a machine like a human, like interfaces, without having boundaries of a compiler or a linker or a programming language coming in between. And the computer understands your language as if you're speaking it and does an action or does things for you as you want it. So that is the future that we are actually looking at it. The human machine interface is coming through a revolution. And this revolution is going to change the way the business is going to operate, the way the technology is going to change, the way the consumers are going to look at the evolving needs of their purchase or any other patterns that they are used to, right? So definitely that's going to drive, I would say, the next 5, 10 years, because it's just an early stage of Gen AI coming into the picture. But we feel that there is going to be a constant change in this evolving technology as well. And once it starts maturing, it coming into a streamline, people are going to use more method. The biggest factor I see in the whole of this is the non-tech guys, the non-IT guys, the non-programmer guys are going to get into the IT without worrying about the nuisances of engineering or nuisances of IT, right? A designer can design few things, make a conceptual design by just talking to the machine and taking that as a base and then coming up with a final design, right? So you're saving 5 to 6 months of an effort of a designer who would have played with machine with different colors combination, different shades, and trying to come up with even the basic thing. But now the basic thing could be available just with his imagination getting captured with his words, which the machine is interpreting it and giving him that particular image right in front of him, right? So that's where we are into the technology age. Now, with this, also there is a big issue of cybersecurity, because the more the technology is becoming accessible for the people, there is a lot of fraudsters that are going to actually still be there, and then they are going to not leave this opportunity to make their money out of this whole thing, actually. So there will be a lot of cybersecurity risk that's going to increase because of this easy access of AI. They can also use AI in a better way, or a worse way, I would say, in terms of disrupting what we are actually constructing, right? So it's a reverse factor that they try to use it. So with that also, there will be a lot of needs for cybersecurity to come in, and I feel the cybersecurity is going to be again going through a lot of evolution just because the AI has stepped in. But that's a revolution in the technology that we will see. The third and important thing, actually, looking at where the world is going and the disasters that we are seeing in the world, and the climate impact that we are seeing and stuff like that, the environment, sustainability, and governance is going to take a center stage more than what we have seen so far. And if this takes the center stage, there will be technology platforms and technology that will support us to exactly find out. So if I'm manufacturing a car, for example, I need to know what the carbon emission of this car is, not only during the production, but during the life cycle of the car when it is in the consumer's hand, that what is that is going to have a carbon impact of this car during the life cycle of the car. And then how do I use that waste after it is disposed, and then basically give back to the nature what the nature needs, right? So with all that thing, I think ESG is also going to take a primary stage. So I always say that cybersecurity, Gen AI, evolution, and the ESG is going to what we are going to see in the next 5, 10 years as the evolution of technology, which will start disrupting the way we look at things or the way we talk to our objects, right? Imagine that you're going into a car and you're talking to the car and saying, okay, car, you have broke down. Just tell me 3 steps what I need to do. Can I do it something myself, or should I call a service person? If I can do myself, give me the steps. Get down of the car, switch this on, put this particular stuff, right? If car starts talking to you, see the comfortability that you will have to drive a car, right? And that's possibility that we today imagine, which we could not have imagined 5 years back as well.
I think those are some game-changing insights about the future right there. So this brings me to the last question. As one of the most influential leaders in technology, what legacy do you hope to leave behind at Visionet Systems and also in the tech industry as a whole?
Oh, yes. So the legacy that I always looked at is how many people I'm impacting while I'm going through the journey. right? So impacting means the entire. So I'm looking at the uh, people above me, the employees, the customers, uh, the leaders that we are generating through this particular process and stuff like that, right? So I always count my successes not in the number of projects that I have delivered or number of go live that I have had or number of customer success stories, but really that while in this journey, how many people that I am trying to impact on the way. And as I see more and more actually beyond Visionet also, I've started contributing into a lot of tech hubs. I'm part of the Thai Charter member. I'm part of the NESCOM R&D Council. I'm part of the startup world that's happening in the Bangalore. So basically, I'm trying to now see that having gained that knowledge, having gained that insights, what industry has given me for the 30 years, I need to now see actually how I disperse this knowledge much quicker, much faster, in a much better way for young entrepreneurs so that they don't get into this particular same hurdle and they create their own success story so that we continue this particular journey of having job creation and making the impact both to the lives of the people as well as to the lives of the society and the lives of the environment, right? So that's what I am counting as a legacy that possibly I can leave behind. I've already written a book called Pride, which is basically how to actually professionally uh, be doing the life, right? So we always talk about technology and things like that, but if you see any particular success story of a success person, you will see that 80% the success story of person is a non-technical aspects of that particular person. It's always the professional attitude of the person, the professional behavior of the person, the way he conducts, the empathy about the particular person, and the ownership the person takes, or the excellence that the person brings it in terms of what or he or she is doing, that all stands up front. Technology is just a small part which basically comes in, right? So if you look at that aspect, then so much this we can leave behind, which is not changing. So even if technology changes or disrupts too much, that's only 20%. But if 80% can be perfected with the individual's attitude towards that, then I think we can make a very, very nice world for all of us to live in.
That's wonderful, sir. And sir, you are an icon of excellence in technology. And I just want to thank you for your time and efforts to answer all of our questions. You have given some very, very insightful answers. And I hope that you continue to grow with leaps and bounds. And thank you for, taking out the time to talk with us. And it has been an absolute honor to speaking to you, sir, today.
Thanks a lot. Look
Thank you.
forward. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank
And
you very
all the best
much.
for your future as well, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
thanks. It was
Have,
nice interacting with you. Thanks.
yes, thank you so much. Have a
Yes.
great day
Bye.
ahead, sir.
Bye.
Yes, bye.